Con Carne, the world's only food podcast recorded in a car, is presented by the Autobarn Mazda of Evanston, 1015 Chicago Avenue. They're the car enthusiast company. You know, driving, it should be a harmonious and effortless experience, something you look forward to with enthusiasm. The guys and girls at Autobarn Mazda of Evanston are ready to set you up. I love the Mazda 3. We're in a Mazda 3 right now, the 5-door. I love the hatchback, the sweeping lines of the Mazda 3. Just project a confident stance. Speaking of confident stance, the guys in the Inventors who are in the car, they got swagger and confidence to spare. I've been watching them. They're like a Mazda 3. If you like Mazda cars, you're going to love the Inventors, and vice versa. The Inventors, you've been sitting patiently. Are you ready to do a podcast?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Ready to go.
They have food in their mouths.
Yes, we do.
It's Con Carne. Let's eat in the car. It's Con Carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Alstyne.
So for recording tonight, or whenever you're listening to this, we're on Kedzie, across the street from the Brown Line, in front of Hot Dog Station. So we're by the Brown Line station, we're by the Hot Dog Station. I'm going to turn on the air conditioning because I'm already warm. How about you guys?
Let's do it.
This was my L stop. I don't necessarily live near this L stop, but I liked it because it was the first one on the Brown Line. And if I parked here and got on the Brown Line, I knew I could always get a seat.
Always get a seat.
Uh-huh. That to me was worth going a little bit out of the way, as opposed to waiting on a platform and stressing out about where am I going to end up in the car. Mm-hmm. That seemed like a pro move for taking the L.
That's street smarts.
That's me. When you think street smarts, I want you to think of me. So as we're recording this right after Thanksgiving weekend. We're recording on a Monday night. If you are listening to this before November 30th, this band right here, the Inventors, at Underground Lounge, Friday night.
Absolutely.
It's a must-see show. And as we're going to talk to you guys, are you looking at my notes?
No.
You're looking at my setup?
I'm just I'm peeking.
I understand. What do we all get? I think we split right down the middle. We got 2 Chicago dogs, 2 Milwaukee dogs.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah.
Now, the Milwaukee dogs are exactly what you'd expect. A bratwurst. Is this sauerkraut on here?
Oh, yeah.
This is dangerous.
I'm about 3 bites in, and it's fantastic.
Their menu is actually really awesome. They have all these different types of hot dogs. It was very tempting, but at the end of the day, I just wanted something really kind of basic. And the fries are delicious. We got the crinkle fries here. As we're eating, let's talk some Inventors history.
Let's do it.
Couple of guys in the car, a couple of guys in the band knew each other dating back to high school.
Yeah, that's right.
I think I only recently started talking to people I went to high school with again.
Well, we found the couple we liked and we stuck close together. Me and Ray started playing either, 15 or 16 years old, and kind of just kept it at arm's length.
Were you any good?
No, not at all. But
We had plenty of time to get all the bad out.
Yeah, we got good together. At least we like to think so.
So when did this relationship, this partnership, crystallize into the Inventors?
When was it? About 4 years ago?
Yeah, that would have been 2014. So Joe and I and Nick, our bass player who couldn't be here tonight, we've been playing together since, early high school. Nick and I especially, we bought a lot of our first instruments and amps together. So we kind of I've never really played with anyone else. But 2014, I had gotten back from college. Joe and Nick had been playing together in a couple bands with some unfortunately failed drummers, and we just kind of picked up where we left off.
Last year, earlier this year, you put out an album, beginning of this year.
Yeah.
When did you guys record that?
We recorded that in May of 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's how prolific the Inventors are. I was just getting used to that one. You're putting out a new album on Friday.
That's correct.
Yes.
So that last one was just us as a 3-piece, and I was playing drums on that. And then as soon as Tommy came into the picture and we had a real drummer again, we just kind of exploded with a lot of songs we'd been working on and ideas. And so we were quickly ready to go into the studio and record and finish the songs, and we're really happy with what came out of it.
I guess when it comes right down to it, a band called the Inventors should be constantly inventing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like you wouldn't be living up to your name if you weren't constantly crafting
Exactly.
things, working in your sound laboratory.
You
yeah,
guys,
that's what we have, a laboratory.
Your sound, I love. To me, there's a throwback aspect to it. Tens and nines, it just off the top of my head, I love just that clean guitar sound, and that riff is so fucking great. So where do you pull inspiration from?
That's one of the things, especially with Nick, Ray, and I, we grew up together, so we found music together. So even like a lot of stuff, if Ray went in a certain direction and I was like, I don't know, one band that comes to mind is The National, where he started listening to them and I just didn't get it, and then, but it's like, it's not just your bandmate, it's a dude you've known since I started driving, like, so it's like eventually I'm going to give him another chance, and then I kind of see what he sees in it, so I find that cool, and then I form my own connection with certain bands and stuff. But there's just a lot of like stuff we don't have to talk about, where it's just, I have this thing and it might sound like David Bowie, but we don't need to go, oh, I got a Bowie vibe from it or something. It just kind of happens. Cause
this is my fourth local band, and walking into practice with them, the amount that they are in sync just from basically growing up together, and they're like brothers, and they just nod and pick up on things as they're playing. As a fellow musician, it's really fun to play along to. But having that kind of bass element eliminates a lot of the back and forth in practices when you're going through new songs. If it's not sticking, it's not sticking. The two guitarists will really lead it most of the time. Nick does some, has some that he wrote. I just hit stuff. I can't write or sing. I just hit things. But whenever somebody brings something in, it's the single from our record, Actually Beautiful. What did we do that in like a couple hours, and it more or less is the same form. That one was crazy.
Yeah, that one fell together pretty fast.
Yeah,
and those are there's some of those where those end up usually being a lot of times our favorites. It's just there's not a lot of labor involved. It's
You're
just
not overthinking anything.
Exactly. Yeah, just it feels very natural. And those are usually the ones that hit the hardest.
And I want to jump back to Beautiful. I should mention Tens and Nines actually gave your last album a name.
Yeah.
The lyric Counting Backwards on that. A couple of the songs I want to mention before the new album even comes out from Counting Backwards. I love Melon, one of the longer songs. What is it? An action needs a reason needs a lie.
Yeah,
That.
that was Ray singing lead vocals on that one. That was
my debut.
Yeah.
I love that. And then now, did you play drums on Land Water? If it was on the last album?
Yes, on the last album I did. We've been playing it live, and it sounds so much better with Tommy because he's a much better drummer.
Although I was going to say, on that track, there's a very determined sound to that drum, to the drums on that song. Yeah. I really like that one a lot.
Yeah, the idea when we were struggling to find a drummer, my brain went to the White Stripes immediately, and I said, those records changed the way I looked at music. Even with what is considered like rudimentary drumming. So it was just, we'll do that at the very least, and then I knew that the other two guys at the time were good enough to carry me. So that definitely helped, and then they kind of moved forward. Like I said, Ray sang that song, which helped everything, and
thanks, Ray.
Yeah.
I think the unofficial band motto for a while was the whole "keep it simple, stupid."
Yeah.
I think that's a good motto. There's a lesson there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, all right, you talked about Beautiful. You created a video for it, which is just a lovely winterscape, which is time appropriate. Although I kept waiting for like a jump scare, like it's a horror movie. It's just this placid scene of snow falling. I waited for like a demonic hand to come out on the screen and like scare the bejesus out of me. That never happens, so I remain focused on the music. That's a great song. That's on the new album. The new album is called?
It's a self-titled album.
Yeah.
The Inventors by the Inventors.
So this is you. This is your statement. This is you coming into your own. This is you in 12 songs or less.
Yeah, I think this is the first time we recorded something, and right off the rip, we were like, "This is us." Like there were so many things with Joe singing and drumming on the last record, where we were sort of limited.
Kind of like a compromise.
Yeah, and and that it was great to an effect because that caused myself, and I'm sure Nick feels this way as well. We kind of had to step up and do more, taking on vocal duties or more backing vocals or writing other, different kinds of parts. But I feel like with this one, after Tommy joined, it just kind of fell into place, and we just feel super good about it.
I didn't even have time to learn all of the tracks on the last record. They had a dedicated set list. I joined right before they had booked some out-of-town dates, and I really wanted to go on those out-of-town dates, so I learned their set list.
Better to learn that stuff out of town than in Chicago.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, yeah.
Better work that out there.
We had known Tommy for a whole week and went on a little 3-date thing in Kentucky and
Lexington, Louisville, and Indianapolis.
It's kind of like I like you. Let's go get married.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was.
it was.
And then you're in Vegas.
No divorce yet. I mean,
Nobody got murdered.
All right, so 4 people who are going to come out to Underground Lounge. I guess sell it. Describe your live show.
I think any band I've ever been a part of, which is mostly included Ray and Nick, we've always strived to be a live band. Like, we don't, excuse me, we don't want to be someone that you go, oh, I like the record better. Like, we like energy, and like, I feel like that shows a lot in this new record, especially, like a lot of just energetic downstrokes and pounding drums and big, loud, soaring lead guitars. Like,
That sells me.
yeah, it's we want you to leave, even if you don't particularly care for our music, go, well, they were good,
Right, and I think just by virtue of the fact that Beautiful was banged out as quickly as it was, I think that speaks to what you just said.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you're capturing there. You're not a meticulous, we're going to spend 3 days in the studio, tweaking the bass.
Right.
All due respect, of course, to Nick, but
Thanks, Nick.
No, the first thing anytime we've ever recorded, Nick puts down his track and we go, wow, that sounds really good. Because Nick's really good at figuring out what he wants with the sound, and I think we did that this last time too. We were just like, oh wow, that sounds great. He's playing back just the bass tracks. And we're like, oh, that's
amazing.
awesome. That's a good place to start.
Now, since you guys grew up together, like, there were people in my high school, and you just knew in high school what they were going to do for the rest of their lives. Oh, well, that guy's definitely going to be a lawyer, or he's going to be in jail. Did people know when you're in high school, did they kind of figure, oh, these guys are going to be playing music?
I don't know.
So we went to their hometown and played a set at a bar over Christmas last year.
Yeah.
And a guy walked up to Joe and said, "Who would have thought you'd be doing this?" And Joe said, "Me."
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember that.
I don't think people really.
Sounds right.
I don't know. I don't. It's not that they didn't know that we were doing it, but I don't think people realized the extent of which we were, like, I guess, passionate about this and spending all of our time doing. So I think maybe it comes as a surprise to certain people, but
That's cool, though.
yeah.
I think another thing too, I think part of the reason that we were drawn to each other in high school is, I don't want to say we didn't like other people, but like, I just don't think we had a connection, and it was just like, we all had this connection with music that was kind of our personal thing, and then we found these other people who just kind of were on the same wavelength, and it was like, okay, cool, we're over here doing this now. Like, we were only flaunting it so much.
Yeah, there were only so many people I could look at and, like, gush about, like, OK Computer, and, like, not get, like, a blank stare.
Yeah.
And it was Nick and Joe, basically.
The same way for me, driving to high school with one of the girls in my neighborhood in the car every day listening to the radio. When we booked this podcast, I sent a screenshot of the email, and I said, we're going to be on James Van Oswald's podcast. Nobody else can appreciate this because they didn't grow up when we grew up, where we grew up. So you always have that connection with people, certain people in high school,
Going to be on James Van Oswald's podcast. Back in the day, I would do a show like this in a radio studio. There'd be elbow room. Stretch your legs out.
But would there be hot dogs?
There might be pizza, actually. I did a lot of those late night shifts where I'd be ordering in, and so we'll call it even.
Some people freeze up, though, in a studio environment, though.
Well, I agree with that.
Yeah,
that is one of the nice things about this.
Yeah.
The pressure's kind of off, and food is kind of a great social lubricant. We're just hanging out eating hot dogs and fries, and not that we're getting deep or philosophical, but I think it's a more relaxed and easy conversation to have. I do agree. Thank you for pointing that out. All right, so let's pause so we can finish our food. The Milwaukee dog was great.
Incredible.
The
10
crowd,
out of 10.
It was so good. How were the Chicago dogs?
They were delicious.
And granted, a Chicago dog's kind of hard to fuck up. Yeah. But when it's not great, it's something you're very aware of. All right, so we're going to pause, which if you're listening to the podcast, you won't feel a thing. It's just, we'll still be here. But after this brief interlude, these guys are going to attempt to perform a brand new song in the car. This is exciting. This is inventive, I dare say.
Ooh.
Yes. All right, so we're going to pause. This Facebook Live performance, presented by the Autobarn Mazda of Evanston, 1015 Chicago Avenue in Evanston. You guys are going to play a brand new song. You have a new album on the way out on Friday.
Correct. Yes.
And you have a show on Friday to coincide with that at the Underground.
Underground Lounge.
So if you like what you're about to hear and see, which you will, go to the Underground Lounge on Friday. See these guys, support these guys. They are local. They are on Kedzie Avenue as we're doing this. And what are you going to play?
We're going to play a song called Apartment.
Apartment. This is brand. I haven't even heard this yet. I've heard Beautiful, the first single from the album. I haven't heard this. Am I going to like it?
I sure hope so.
Okay, I'm sure I will, because it's the Inventors. I'm sure I'm going to love this. Thank you for watching on Facebook Live. These are the Inventors. You can hear the fully mixed version of this and the interview in the podcast. Some people still don't realize this is a podcast. They think this is just like a Facebook Live thing we do. It's an actual podcast you can subscribe to on iTunes and Stitcher and Google and TuneIn. And iHeart. Okay. All right, have at it. It is the Inventors in a Mazda.
Can't believe I'm running back. Can't believe I'm running away. Don't know how I got here today. Don't know how I got here. Can't believe I'm running back. Can't believe I'm running away. Don't know how I got here today. Don't know how I got here. I sit alone in his apartment, counting down to his last lonesome heartbeat. The pounding sound. He stood there in his apartment, counting down to his last lonesome heartbeat. Heartbeat, heartbeat, heartbeat. Never seemed to grab the wheel, never seemed to drive the car. Always wondering if there was more, or is this life just where you are? Never seemed to grab the wheel, and he never seemed to drive the car. He was always wondering if there was more, or is this life just where you are? He stood there in his apartment, counting down to his last lonesome heartbeat. The pounding sound. He stood there in his apartment, counting down to his last lonesome heartbeat. Heartbeat, heartbeat, heartbeat. When I'm there, I will call. You will always be there. When I'm there, I will call, and you will always be there. When I'm there, I will call. You will always be there. You will always be there, and you were always there. I did it.
All right, yeah, you did it. You weren't messing around at all. I mean, you guys gave it all. I mean, if you were watching on Facebook Live, they sounded that good in a car. Imagine what they'll sound like on stage at the Underground. That was really great.
Thank you.
Dude, you did not hold back. I mean, you just...
Yeah, that's what I do.
Wow. Let's see. Amy Olson Richardson says, whoa.
Well, thank you, Amy.
That's it. That's all you need to say about what we just witnessed. Whoa, you guys sound so good. Even though you have a new album out, I should mention the soon-to-be previous album, available on cassette. This is amazing. This is great.
We'll have them Friday.
Hey, counting backwards, I played a bunch of these songs on Demo 312. This sounds great. This is great music. Great band. They are the Inventors. They are local. We support local music. Thank you, guys. Thank you for doing. I can't wait to hear the rest of the new stuff. Beautiful. We've heard so far. We just heard Apartment. Looking forward to the rest. Love them. Thank you for watching on Facebook Live. Thank you for listening to Con Carne. Con Carne presented by the Autobarn Mazda of Evanston. Thanks, Inventors.
Thank you.